surprise shone light from distant northern skies. At that point, I realized I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. This is all an illusion, and I'm willing to play.
Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show. Interviews with awakened masters as they share their quantum work with you. The Quantum Guide Show is produced by Karen Holton, creator of the 9 Steps to Quantum Health Transformation, a free 9-step online course to give you the tips and resources you need to thrive. Karen lost and continues to keep off 178 pounds of surplus body weight as she made her dreams come true. Whether you are awakening to the ascension process or simply want a wiser, more efficient lifestyle, this program is for you. No strings attached. The Quantum Guide Show is brought to you in part by Zendome's Orgonite, Karen's unique brand of orgone generators, ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. Find out how orgone generators work and what they can do for you. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out Karen's current selection, only available from her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today in episode 54, I am pleased to introduce you to Kim Christensen, author of the Book of Kim, The Testimony of a Drug Lord Reborn. This book is the autobiography of Kim Soborg Christensen, who was one of the biggest convicted drug lords and was part of the largest trafficking case on record. He tells about the drugs that Hitler's scientists made in order to create a superhuman being. It tells us how this drug got into use today and the role it plays. Kim states that these drugs open up Pandora's box because of how they activate the third eye or the pineal gland. This is a story about the trafficking, manufacturing, and the restructuring of organic drugs to stop and prevent death caused by heroin and other opioids, as well as the unlawful deportation, corruption, and the never-ending battle for freedom. It is also about the hurt and pain suffered by the author. This is also the story about a world of governments, religion, and money. This is a book for all who are lost without faith, because it is also about the love and compassion from a forgotten world and the unspoken world of human conditioning. The Book of Kim will change your life and get your undivided attention. This book explains the underground world, the world that Jesus Christ himself came from, and delivers the strongest and most important message on the planet from Jesus Christ himself. Learn more about Kim Christensen and why he proclaims his truth based on the strongest evidence which the governments are keeping from all of us. It includes the recorded evidence that God is real, does exist, with more recorded dramatic miracles than ever seen before. His philosophy is that everyone deserves to know the truth. Hi, Kim. How are you doing today?
Hi, how are you? I'm good. Thank you.
I'm doing okay.
Yes, thank you for that introduction. That was a very good introduction.
Oh, my pleasure. Is there anything I missed out? I've got a little bit of sun shining on my face. I hope that's not too distracting. But is there anything I missed that you want to fill in?
Look, there's so much information through me that it's just beyond comprehension. Like, I have an extreme lot of information. Unfortunately, a lot of the information is not in the book, but the book is written in such a way that everybody will get it today. You know what I mean? The book got stopped in 2004 when I first wrote it. And there were 60 court orders brought out by the government department in Australia, against all the media companies, book companies, and film companies, and they ceased everything to do with this book because of the information that was in it. So therefore, the book has to be remodeled a little bit. But today you see the pieces when we talk about the introduction that you mentioned, because it's all about Hitler's drug. It's all about what's inside that drug. And it's the first mRNA technology, first registered bioweapon since 1895. And it was first registered with the Japanese, the kamikazes. And there was the most suicidal evil squad in the world. And then Hitler created MBK, methylbenzoketone, which created the superhuman ability. He also created 14 other products with synthetic opiates. And those products, we did a stealth mode in 2014 after I got out of prison to prove that this plan would unfold. And in Australia, in 2014, it was all over Channel 7 News broadcasted that with this biological lab test that we delivered to them in stealth mode, they showed 14 products in the underground world, including Australia and America, right? Because that's what I disclosed. It's not just Australia. The plan starts with America, and NASA's behind it. And that's why it's in America and South America as well. Remember you had cocaine in America South America was coming up, and then it changed to meth. That was part of the construction, right? It's part of the plan. And those 14 products that Hitler originally created are the ones that we found on the streets in 2014, and we got biologist labs with the information delivered to Channel 7 News in 2014, and it was aired. Not only that the products were there with synthetic opiates, but we have to understand there's 380 testing centres in Australia. No junkie or drug dealer who gets busted, right, ever shows these products on any analysation reports. You have to have a proper analysation certificate when you go to court, right? And they're not on there, right? So there you see how much the government's behind this. Now, in 2016, Tony Abbott, who's the Prime Minister of Australia, he called for a mandatory urine test amongst all the government workers, authorities, and the Defence Force. Those statistics came back in 2016 as being 57% positive to meth, right? And 75% of people admitted to using it. It was on every single news channel across Australia and newspaper. So you can see what's really going on. What happened after this? Tony Abbott was removed and nothing happened. That's why you're seeing the most important thing that people don't understand is the fifth eye, the five eyes, all-seeing eye of Horus in your dollar note, right, in America. Well, the fifth eye is Australia. Everything's about Australia. Why is it about Australia? Because the world's about to collapse massively, right? And the elite for many, many years have been setting up in the bottom of Tasmania, New Zealand, and the South Pole. That's why they created the flat earth theory deliberately, right? Because they've been building down there for 15 years straight with billions of dollars. There's a place called what's called the dry valleys, where it's already drying up a fair bit. There's already green pastures and everything there, right? And they're building there because literally the bottom of Australia, Tasmania, New Zealand, and the South Pole are the only places that they see that's going to survive. And that comes through the IPCC reports ever since 1973. They created the climate denial reports with 2,000 scientists for 20 years. 650 were convicted for this in late 2019 with ExxonMobil, right? Where 650 scientists that controls the social media platform was convicted for climate denial reports, right? Now the same scientists are doing the same bullshit on social media platform where they're explaining the climate problems being the CERN machine, the HARP machine, weather manipulation, because they consistently manipulate you. Most people believe in the things they are hearing on social media platforms, but that's actually where most of the lies are coming from. And it's confusing the whole civilization so bad. But what's the real cause of this? The real cause is social engineering for 300 years. We're stripped from our sixth sense. As hard as it is to believe, the document came in 1921, right, by the Rockefellers and Bilderbergs into our education to strip us from our sixth sense, and that would be executed by 221. And here we are today with people in brain lock, psychologically mental creatures that has no instincts, no morals, no ethics. In 1980, they brought the document to deem your human instincts to be dangerous and your human instincts to be a loving, compassionate creature with loyalty, honor, respect, moral, empathy, and remorse. We feel things. It's our survival mode. You know what I mean? We're a moral creature that feels things. Well, they deemed us that to be dangerous and then to program us to think with reasoning. That's why most of the millennium age, under 40 years old, they all think they're highly intelligent. And yet the fact is, we just done a research on rocket scientists and brain surgeons, the two most intelligent people on the planet. And what did they discover? They're just good at what they do, but they're not intelligent because there's no basic common sense, which is attached to moral decision. We think with reasoning. That's why people want to see the evidence from a document. They think that's the evidence because they get a biological answer with the 5 senses where they structure their judgment from reasoning. But they don't believe in the great wisdom that creates it. You know what I mean? People don't believe in the elders anymore and the great wisdom we've always led by. Like, you know, it's always been like never believe nothing you hear, only believe half what you see, but trust what you feel instinctively. It's abolished. It's completely abolished today, right? People really believe in their own truth, not realize that you are your own worst enemy, right? Because of the way that our mind plays tricks and games on us. It's only a mathematical computer to work things out with. IQ is based on 98% memory. It's a memory box. It's 5 senses. And the fact is we only use 9% of our brain because we use it in negative fields. But when we access our true abilities, right, which is to think with our pineal gland, then we create graphene oxide serum, which makes our body cells on the outside conduct. So 7 times more positive power and energy. And when you do that, you access 7-fold wisdom and knowledge. When you're 3 years old, you mastermind a computer game by the time you're 7, right? How do you do that? Instinctively. You're guided on the right path with wisdom. You go to school, and you become stupid and the wheel falls off. You know, that's how life is. But it's hard to get your head around. We've been social engineered so dramatically that we're all manipulated and deceived beyond comprehension. And it's nothing to be afraid of because the truth sets you free. And the minute you acknowledge these things, you start to feel things differently. And through those feelings, you just got to understand, man, everything we know today has been a massive deception and manipulation. And I go into very specific details. I just made a video which makes you understand why the police, why the authorities find me as being one of the most compromising people on the planet. Because while everyone's being entertained with everything that's going on right now, they're not focused on the most important thing. That was said by the 300 top scientists. We think of reverse psychology 95+% of the time, and we're going into brain lock beyond the point of return. That can be seen as the days of Noah, right? That can be seen as the greatest psychological warfare in human history because all mental conditions, heart attacks, like blood clots, myocarditis has gone up 5 times every 20 years, and today accelerating 7 times faster. Well, it's also important we understand that in 1960, right, 2 to 4% of people would suffer some sort of chronic disease by the time they're 50. It's 54% today. So what they're really doing is what they think is the right thing. They're trying to eliminate bad genes, right? And the adverse effects you're seeing today from what we are seeing unfold now is exactly the same adverse effects that we saw through the underground world with 114 different products of meth and amphetamine, which is ADHD medication. It's important to understand the 2 components in mRNA technology, right, are components registered under biotech and DARPA, under the military. Those components are, right, graphene oxide serum, right, sorry, graphene oxide iodine, right? Iodine is methamphetamine, 1/3 is iodine crystals. Iodine crystals is graphene oxide sheets. That's where it all begins, right, with the nanotechnology and the bioweapons. Those components, right, the other component is graphene hydroxide gel, right? They're the 2 components. What do they actually do? Well, you've seen people with ADHD, right, and mental disorders. They're very hyped up, okay, because they've got a lot more power and energy than the rest of the civilization. So we program the society to believe that they are mentally dysfunctional and they get confused with their own mind with these things and they rebel against the system. They usually drop out of school at 10, 11, 12 years old, most of them, right? Because they can't handle the system. They have the most positive power and energy, right? And we design reverse psychology to think otherwise. But when we tell them they're sick in their head, right, because they're impatient in that, they believe that too, right? Because we confuse their mind. But these are the facts. In studies done in prison, these people are the most loving, compassionate creatures. And that reflects upon the social engineering programs that are done in jail, which is cognitive thinking. You face your cognitive thinking abilities to see, you know, how your offending behaviors and what kind of empathy and remorse you have towards your offending behavior. It literally addresses your moral species, right? Your moral instincts, I mean. And we find that people come from the streets, from this walk of life, are the most loving, compassionate, who always are never in their right mind and they're always sorry, and it reflects in these programs. Where the bureaucratical system that goes to school, when they come into prison and they do the same cognitive programs, what do we learn about them? We learn that they always believe they're in their right mind and they're not really sorry, and it reflects with cognitive programs to address their offending behavior. Now, this was discovered in the biggest mental health research ever conducted in global history, which was from 2000 to 2010. And I just happened to be in prison during that time. And when you're in prison, you're sitting with people who suffers, right, from some sort of mental disorder, depression and that. I mean, literally, when you come off the street and you end up in jail, it doesn't matter who you are, you're losing your loved ones, your family and everything around you. But then you're living in an environment that we consider as a concrete jungle, the same as the indigenous people, where we don't really have a religion to divide us. We don't have governments and authorities to control us with. And we don't have money and materialistic things to control every single thing we do. And what happens after 7 years when you get your mind around this and you adapt into this new environment? What happens is after 7 years, a cycle of life to get your mind around this, then you start to think instinctively and naturally. And only then to begin to explore the unbelievable gift that we have. And the first thing you discover is, wow, man, I'm the same as 0 to 7, man. I remember all these things now. And I remember something else, like here we are programming our education to believe that when you go to jail for 7 years or more, we become mentally institutionalized and can't readapt to outside. It's a lie. And we discovered that in this operation, right? That in fact, we discover that we're mentally institutionalized when we go to school and become stupid. And then we think we're highly intelligent and we think all the time. But the actual facts are we suffer the consequences of stress, anxiety, confusion, and these things nonstop by manipulation. And when you come back to your senses with your natural instincts, what happens is you start to feel things tenfold because you activate your pineal gland again. And it's important to understand that the graphene oxide that we conduct dies between 7 and 15, and they're dead. Not like the indigenous people, it stays alive forever, and they don't suffer the human condition, black clots, or heart attacks, and they live to be 120. Not the bullshit we get told of. They never get sick, right? And they never come to hospital because they're in their right frame of mind, and they know that we are mentally, psychologically crazy human beings because we are. And the sooner we realize that we are, the better off we can do something about it. But it's not about programming. A lot of people talking today about programming and deprogramming, right? Believe me, that is one of the biggest deceptions ever created. This is a natural process that you can access simply by doing the win-off breathing program and studying it correctly. You activate your pineal gland, right, with oxygen and adrenaline, and it's the most two important tools on the planet. You know, if I say to you, let's kill your mate right now, you go, no in a heartbeat, and you respond 3 times faster than you can think, and you do it morally. That's our instincts. And our instincts has collapsed, and our biological's collapsed beyond comprehension. But if we understand this, we understand that we have been stripped from our sixth sense, from our spiritual human being. We're spiritual human beings. And we now have all that research to prove that. So it's important to understand that the book that Jeremy Griffiths wrote, he's the biggest biologist today who studied Plato and the human conditioning for 45 years. And he's hailed to be the #1 biologist who wrote the most important truth on the planet that we've never known. The book Freedom is the End of the Human Conditioning. This is the #1 biologist on the planet, right? And it's hailed by the same 300 top scientists from the IPCC reports to be the most important book. And it's important we understand. We all know about the climates around the planet and all the discussion about the climates through governments, authorities, and all the bullshit they're trying to do. This is what we need to understand. The primary problem is we can't change mankind from the way he thinks because he thinks with greed, power, temptation, money, materialistic things all the time. And we're doing it with reverse psychology, with programming, and we think mentally instead of thinking instinctively. And this is unnatural, right? We're supposed to think instinctively 95% of the time and only use that part of our brain to work things out with. There's nothing wrong with being programmed with education as long as you've got control of that brain. And you can use 100% of your brain by being accessed with your pineal gland. That's the biggest deception. We only use 9% with this part of the negative fields, and we think we're highly intelligent, but we have to have more faith in our system because our system, this is what our system does. I'm a scientist. Believe me, I know these things better than anybody, right? You access, right, 2 molecules of immortality, graphene oxide serum that makes you conduct. You create 3 times more white oxygen cells. You create your own protein and iron. You also alchemize and alkaline your DNA, your blood, right? You restore your immune system 3-fold. And you also produce all the chemicals that stops inflammation. You can actually put cancer into recession, right? It's a proven fact. Right now, it's the latest study done is on the DNA itself because we even believe that it's going to go further. But you need to look at win-off studies. All these studies have been done, and he's classified as a superhuman ability. But as he said, everything's bullshit, man. So does Jeremy Griffiths. Everything in this world's bullshit, right? Because it's about our instinctive behavior being in our primordial state, and we all have access to this. We're all equal when it comes to a moral creature. But we've been stripped from our morals and respect so much that I'm sure you're aware that there's a lot of respect and morals missing around here. Sorry, I just thought I'd get that out there as quick as I could.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay,
Yep.
Kim. That's awesome information. I just wanted to sort of reflect on a few things you said. At one time, I actually have my a degree in social work, and I worked as a social worker briefly. And I love people, and I was very fortunate to end up running a program for intravenous substance users. And also a lot of them were also sex trade workers. And I got to tell you, I never met such loving, forgiving, generous, beautiful people I had ever met in my life. So my question to you is, as you were talking about those negative fields and everything else, it seems to me like the people that are organizing and planning all this, and those that are, the elites or whatever you want to call them, they're psychopaths. They have no ability to empathize. They have no ability to, they don't understand mercy. They don't understand forgiveness. They're missing the full range of human emotion. So I wondered if you want to speak a bit to that, the contrast I saw between the substance users and these psychopaths who think they have all the answers today.
I go into very specific details about a lot of things, and I make a lot of videos on Rumble, right? And particularly over the last 2 weeks, I've addressed a lot of issues that we need to understand at the moment, such as parallel worlds, right? What's classified as different heavens, different dimensions, because we even have evidence of this now. Right, there are parallel worlds, right? That's even been disclosed by the US military itself, right? NASA itself. And we also know there's different dimensions. And how did we discover that? Well, everything about the Looking Glass 2012, right? Opened up a lot of corridors. Now, I have a different type of knowledge, okay? And it's very hard to get your head around. I went through a walk of life like, I think when we first spoke before we come on here, you asked me a few questions about my life before, during, and after jail, Okay, so I just, in a crash, 2 seconds, I was brought up with an atheist. My mum believed in God, right? And I was always torn between this who's right and wrong type thing, right? I went to school. I dropped out at 12 years old because I found it to be dysfunctional. I got into depression. I was rejected everywhere. I was bullied, all those sorts of things. And, I hung around a group of people like myself in the streets. We become junkies because we take drugs to numbing ourselves. A lot of people think we take it to enjoy ourselves, but not really. We're trying to escape the world that we live in, to get away from the depression and the bullshit. And that's what a lot of people do. I mean, there's evil people, that. There's evil people everywhere. But like you said before, the most beautiful people you meet in this world, it really is. But in this world, I grew up watching my mates die from heroin. A couple died in my arms, and you really see things you don't sort of acknowledge in the normal world. And you see the things between governments, authorities, and how people react to it as well. And you're the one that's worthless. You're the one that's a piece of shit. You're the reject. And you get programmed to believe in that. I believed in that my whole life, no matter what I did. I believe I was worthless, a piece of shit, and would never man up to anything, because most of us do in that walk of life. But I never committed an evil act in my life. I never hurt anyone, because I went out, I became a junkie for 4 years, and then bang, I stopped at 21. Then I got married, had 2 kids. I started buying and selling the most collectible car in Australia and become very successful because of one thing. I used my heart in the right place, right? I always believe honesty is the best policy. And the reason that I went down this path was because my dad was a big liar. I always had to show off in front of his mates, like be better than the Joneses, so to speak. And he programmed his kids to be exactly the same. But me, I was the outcast. I wasn't actually his son. And one way I'm proud of that. But my dad came good. My dad changed, right? He was very dysfunctional in that way, but things changed his life through an event that happened with my own brother. And it's a big event. But anyway, long story short, I went down this path, and I ended up taking over nightclubs in Brisbane, exactly what you're talking about. I owned the biggest brothels in Brisbane until the biggest prostitution laws came in. And the reason I did that was because the cops were convicted in the Fitzgerald inquiry in 1987 for not only controlling the heroin that killed all their mates, but also the prostitution. They were running the whole prostitution game, right? And the heroin through the prostitution. They were feeding them heroin, the scumbags, right? And it was Joe Bielgi Peterson, who's the state premier, right? And the police commissioner, Terry Lewis. You can read it and Google it on the Fitzgerald Inquiry in 1987, right? You can see it yourself, right? These people were the top politicians and cops running the show. Exactly at the same time, they brought the scientists in to unleash amphetamine, and they said 10 tons of Amsterdam, 10 tons of Florida, every single month for 14 years straight, protected by the governments. Like, that's what we were dealing with, right? We were dealing with real Freemasons, right? Not like America. We're dealing with real scumbags, right? So deep. They disarmed Australia with the Martin Bryan buyback plan. That was Martin Bryan who did the massacre in Tasmania. And if you really look into this, that was a disarmament that happened in 1996. I'm on the front page of the paper on the 18th of January, okay, 18th of January 2001, on the front page of the Courier Mail. It's all over the Australian newspapers on that day. And here I am with a shipping container fully loaded with guns and a massive black writing. These are the guns from the Martin Bryan buyback plan. And you have to ask yourself, what the hell was I doing with the guns that were supposed to be destroyed? You know, we're a criminal network. And we took control of everything, the whole 9 yards. And I ended up having what we call the National Crime Authority in Australia, which is known as the CIA in America, and the federal police. They couldn't even take me down. So they went to seek authority from Parliament House to unleash the Australian Crime Commission. Now, they're the brains behind Australia, the ones that gives all the directions to the Prime Minister, Foreign Affairs with International Affairs. They do not work against the public, but they were given authority to unleash them simply because of me. And through that operation, I'm registered as RSVP, Research Succeed Victories with Perfection. And there's only 134 people registered at that level in 1990. I was already registered then. And I'm also registered Mastermind Loopholes Law, Manipulation, Reverse Psychology, and Human Psychology. And in 2007, while I was in prison, I left the Queensland Mental Health Board and the top scientists in to discover the cure of the human condition that led to the book Freedom that Jeremy Griffiths wrote. So I have the great wisdom to understand these things better than anyone. That's why I'm qualified to say to people, the Win Off Breathing program is the fastest access to access yourself back in your primordial state. And it's literally unlocking the DNA code of God. And let me tell you something. When you consider we're coming into a timeline of sevenfold wisdom and knowledge, I'm the only one that's educating this. And why am I the only one? Because God come to me. And he chose me 5 years ago. And since then, I went through an unbelievable transformation with information that I can't even begin to explain in any way, shape, or form. But God created the most powerful evidence in modern history that put me on that plane with 55 officers. And that's been suppressing me so dramatically because they know, they got the evidence. So the information I come with, you know, God said I'm the witness. And the witness, I think people should pay attention. They should pay attention to the knowledge I have. And 99% of people don't. Their faith system collapsed. And that's why I'm trying to educate people how to restore their faith system back in their primordial state and understand how they've been manipulated with so many different entities, right? Through social media platform, through scientists, professors, to believe in your own truth and so many other light, power, and energy. Well, understand this. One of the oldest warnings is in the oldest Bible that most people know nothing about. But the biggest warning about Revelation is that they're going to resurrect several different artificial suns that will give far more power of artificial light, power, and energy. Well, the red dragon China raised its first sun on Monday, a week ago, with artificial light and energy and power. Well, if you understand that, that's the sun gods. The sun gods, which is the old day, the days of Noah, right? Back in the days of Noah. We got to understand what graphene oxide is because it was first used as gold as an enlightenment drug. It's an enlightenment drug when made laboratorily correct. But the way they make it, right, through ADHD medication, is they dumb your pineal gland. And that's what Bill Gates shows at his convention at Davos, exactly how these motherfuckers will work, right? It's been right in front of our face all the time. And the barcode system is a message in every single one of them where eventually you'll have a barcode. And believe me, there'll be a pinhead in one of them. There'll be the chip itself. And that chip's going to come out sometime mid this year. And that's the mark. And just so people understand things, there are already 6 countries in the world now where people are going to get money at the bank and they can't. unless they get the jab. So there's your modeling for this, right? But the most crucial thing of all, like Tom Horn wrote Sea Guys 225. You know that one? The book came out last year. He's one of the biggest prophets. He's one of the biggest prophets in the world, right? You see him on Prophecy Watches, Sid Roth, and his predictions are unbelievable where he's put pieces together. But his most important predictions were written in my book 4 years ago. And my book's the only one that tells exactly when this is going to unfold and exactly what this is about. It's about Hitler's drug. It's about graphene oxide, and everybody knows what mRNA technology is. That's on your mainstream media. Well, that's what mRNA technology is. It's a messenger. It's a barcode system. Your DNA is a barcode system. When you get messages from the outside, from God or any dark entities, it goes into your DNA, which is a barcode system itself, which sends messages to your brain, and that feelings convey to thoughts like animals. You can Google this stuff. You know, the Aboriginals can talk to you, right, without talking, because they could feel each other and convey the message to thought. That's why when you argue with yourself and you're trying to make a decision and the voice says, do it, and the other one says, don't, right? You're talking to yourself because it's a message that's conveyed into your own voice. You always hear yourself talk. So that's the most common voice you have in your head when you try to make a decision. But it comes from the feelers outside, from dark entities from different dimensions, right? So if you are programmed to think on negative fields and five senses, to think you're highly intelligent, you're accessing all those DNA codes, right? But you're also accessing light, power, and energy from a source that's known as light, because Satan and all the dark entities, the fallen, they're light, man. People are so confused with dark. They're light, and they've got terrific power and energy from all the false gods. Do you know what I mean? The false power and energy. And what's the biggest false? Palladiums were the fallen angels, man. Your 33-degree Mason Emperor, it's in an 1873 document. They are Palladiums. So all the light workers and social media platforms are going for the Palladiums, right? Which is the fallen Anunnakis, with false light, power, and energy, with conscious thoughts, which is sun god Ra. That's the greatest manipulation about this one world social media platform on a one world social media system. And people don't understand. You were manipulated and screwed so much to what you believe in, so many things, you got no idea what the fuck you're doing. And that's the truth. That's why you need to restore and understand every human being on earth will be manipulated. How will they be manipulated? Through education, governments, authorities, right? Modern gadgets, modern images with these things here. And that's what everybody believes in. They mentally resonate with everything. Where's the instinctive connection? Where's the real instinctive connection here? There isn't any, because people have become soulless. They're disconnected, soulless. We even got the evidence biologically and scientifically to prove it. That's what's going on. These bureaucratical idiots, when this was brought to their attention in 1999, the primary problem wasn't climate was caused by us. It was caused by them. That's what's being suppressed, that the bureaucratical system is in brain lock. They don't have morals. And they got the scientific evidence to prove that these people are dysfunctional, incompetent robots to fact check Google themselves. That's what we're dealing with. And most of the whole human civilization has been programmed to believing in them the same way, right? That's why it even says in the Bible, more than 80% is going to fail here. And believe me, at the moment, it's more than 90. In fact, it's probably up at about 99%, and 1% is 80 million people. But there's no more than 80 million that's got true faith in their faith system, correct? Believe me, I know that. I've got the wisdom and knowledge to know this. Most people are believing in too many different belief systems. And right now, you have to understand it's about you as a moral creature. It's about you restoring, right, the very image you were created in. And if you can't think with that instinctively correctly, you're completely unqualified to judge the situation. And it's important we know what the truth is on documents to prove it. The last human being born who thinks naturally, instinctively, was born in 1960 in the outback of Australia. In the white civilization, it goes back more than 300 years. Can anyone deal with that? Can anyone really wake up and read every red pill here? Because believe me, God created every most powerful evidence in the world in my book. And people don't believe in me. They still want to mold their own truth and try and program me into their belief system. And that's where you're fucked in the head. If you don't have faith to restore your own system, you're unqualified to judge the situation. And people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that. But don't be afraid of the truth. Be afraid of what you think. Do not be afraid of the truth. The truth's going to set you free beyond comprehension. And if you do the Win Up breathing program, you don't think, you shut your mind down and you completely escape your mind. You completely get right out of your conscious thoughts. So you don't want to stay in your conscious thoughts. You want to release those thoughts. That's the first thing on reverse psychology they program you in with scientific knowledge, man. Scientists and physicists have been manipulating everyone for years on social media platform, the same system. And everyone thinks they're opening up to the truth. No, 1,000 new belief systems, man, right? Where does it come from? Scientists and professors. Where's the faith? 99% of people don't believe in God, but you know why? Because they're completely stuffed up with this religious bullshit, right? Religion blocks them, right? They got this religion fantasy in their mind to hate religion, right? And most people think they're waking up. They're not awake. They're not awake because the ones that are really being saved are the ones that have got their truth-based system in God, right? To be one with God, not about religion, but about individual. It's about you as a spiritual human being. But if you believe in any other God or any other entity, you're warned in the Bible, right? Fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, fifth, sixth, and seventh dimension is light and demonic and deceiving, right? Jesus tells you the lower heavens is Satan's domain, right? And the oldest Bible in the world, the book of Enoch, tells you about the parallel worlds and everything. Let me tell you something. When you've died and crossed over to the other side and you've seen those worlds, right, you have the wisdom. And there are millions of people across the planet who's died, crossed over, and come back with stories, right? People get contacted from the heavens or whatever, from their family and loved ones, mediums, right? Clairvoyants, okay? Junkies on the street that goes into prison, they're awake. They have gone into all these entities on these meth products. And what they see is the other entities. And believe me, if you want to believe in palladiums and silver discs, you're insane because you're not listening to all the wisdom and knowledge from thousands of people all over the world because you think they're dysfunctional and stupid. Well, God said he will choose those that you think are evil and stupid, right? Because you can't trust anyone else. It's a fact of life. You know, we see the dark entity on drugs. We see the different dimensions. We know what we're talking about. We're not stupid, right? The rest of the society is so stupid. We can put anyone who's in a courtroom as a jury member, and you'll find 84% of people guilty on body and facial expression because only 16% is on solid evidence. Why does this happen? Because you don't understand what's being said, and you're too afraid of being stupid and put up your hand and ask this question. What's being said before I put him to jail? What I need to understand what's being said because there's no evidence, but people's got no morals. And we can put anyone in the courtroom to do this. 84% of people will be found guilty of body and facial expression because no normal person has got any brains, and they're too stupid to put their hand up and ask a question, and they're too immoral to care about sending someone to prison. 84% of people going in for murder goes in for this reason. Why? Because the whole human population is polarized so much, thinking they're highly intelligent, but they're not. We've got the evidence to prove that. They're not intelligent at all. The more you've got education, the more you've got into science professors, TV programs and all this, the more dysfunctional you are. And people don't want to hear it because they don't want to live in the truth. That's why only 1%'s awake. Believe me, only 1%'s really, truly awake. Most of the people I lead here, I lead for a reason because they're so lost with all these belief systems. Well, were they chosen by God? Because every single prophet across the planet that was chosen, like told, have all written books that's evidence today. There's about 300 of them that's all written books, right? That no one can debunk or discredit, but is anyone following them? Nope, they're following all their bullshit belief system. God can't trust anyone. And right now it's about God. It's not about what people believe in. It's about you being one with God and having some faith, right? Jesus came here in our image to show us how much he loves us compassionately and to show us that we were created in our human instincts in his image. And it's very simple. The vineyard rule is how you govern life without greed, power, temptation, money, materialistic things. Very simple, right? You follow your instincts in the righteous paths with two simple commandments: to love one another and bear one another's burdens. Why? Because that positive power and energy is the most powerful out of all powers and energy. And love is the key. But if you're in some other delusion in your mind, in any way, shape, or form, just out by 1 degree, you're not going to make it to that entity. That's why I recommend to everyone, go to the book of Enoch and read and start studying, or watch the video on my channel. You'll see it there, okay? The book of the Watchers and the book of the Parallel Worlds, and start understanding. We know them as junkies. We know them in the criminal world. We use these entities on the streets. That's why we're the most compromising situation on the street, uneducated, and yet one of the most highest intelligent people in the world is me. And have I ever been educated? No, we use these entities. The entities we're told doesn't exist. We use our instincts above any human being on earth. So we have the most wisdom and knowledge to understand what these things are. And what we see in the social media platform, we knew 25 years ago, whoa, this is Pandora's box. Wait till you see the belief systems coming out of this bullshit. And we're watching it today. The unbelievable amount of things people believe in, but do they believe in God and Jesus Christ? No. You only got to be up by 1 degree, man, and you're going to screw up, because the parallel worlds tells you all the different worlds that are here and what's in them. And there's no discs, because you've got Stargate systems. You've got portals on all the holy mountains. There's 7 of them all over the world. What do you know about them? Practically nothing. Well, ask yourself this. Why is NASA and the Vatican sitting on Mount Graham, right, in Arizona, in America, and putting the biggest telescopes up there? Why did they cease the Stargate system, right, in Middle East? Why did they do that? Why did they sit in the McDonald's range, right, with Area 51 in Australia? Because I know shit, man. And most shit that I know seems to be something everybody's manipulated with. And they're all manipulating social media platform as well. Everything's a manipulation, man. And I'm sorry to say that, but it doesn't give me any great pleasure to say these things. And that's why I'm like this with the opportunity I've got here with you and your guests, right, and your viewers. I have to get attention, man. I have to get attention to you to watch this video I made yesterday or today, and it's called They Deem You Human Instincts to Be Dangerous and Strip You from Your Sixth Sense, with the documents, right? People need to sit down and watch this video. This is the video, and this is the thing about me they suppress everywhere. They suppress every single thing they can about this issue. And if you watch this issue, you understand this is their concern. Not the vaccinations, not the COVID-19. Everything's a distraction. Everything's a distraction to confuse you, manipulate you. This is their biggest concern, is this video. 1 hour and you'll get it. We have been social engineered so dramatically, it's out beyond their comprehension. And it's everybody. And unless you have the wisdom and knowledge to access back to your primordial state, you're completely unqualified to judge the situation. But what you do is you access 280,000 chemicals that restores your biological and fires up everything in your body cells to receive the most highest power and energy. And that's what you have to realize. There are different heavens, man, and Enoch explains all the different heavens and what's there. And if you don't get up in the right power, you're going to be deceived by light, power, and energy. And that's going to come from these new artificial suns that are already being risen now.
Very, very interesting. Kim, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to let you know, believe it or not, the time has gone by so fast. We're running out of time, but I want to give you a chance to say your final words, and perhaps in a month or so you could come back on the show and we can cover more information, because it's just so much. But what advice do you have to the common people or the newly awakened? My show's kind of geared towards people that are just waking up, and it's a place that they can come and find out and then go on and do their own research. What words of wisdom do you have to basically everybody?
I'm really pleased, Sean, to ask that question, because what I really recommend everybody does out there, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or what you believe in, I recommend you go to the World Transformation Movement on Google, Jeremy Griffith's book, Freedom. He has 14 videos there. You can sit down and watch and listen to the guy, right? And it talks about how the science professors, right, the main ones all admitted to what we're doing. They've admitted more than 12,500 come together on this, admitting that we suffer the human condition to better ourselves with selfishness, right? And that we've been programmed into this. Like this, he tells it in a more settled way so that people accept it better in a loving, compassionate way. And it really does get your attention. Now, this book is hailed by the 300 top scientists to be the most important subject. And what you've got to understand is that the bureaucratical system, even psychiatrists, right, they don't want to deal with this. Just imagine that if psychosis didn't exist and that whole part of life didn't exist. Well, imagine what it's going to do to Prama world. First of all, you've got to understand your vaccinations and everything to do with Prama, okay, their mental disorder drugs is more than 800 parts of their business, right? Like more than 80%. More than 80, 90% is all about mental drugs, right? It's caused by mental conditions. That's what they thrive on. They thrive on mental drugs. That's where the biggest business is. And vaccinations is part of that because it controls you like ADHD medication. So they thrive on you suffering the human conditioning, right? And they don't want us to know that that's not true, right? They don't want to know that. They don't want to accept that. So that's the problem. That's been identified by these 300 top scientists, that the bureaucratic system won't accept this because it's too much compromisation against the whole system with the evolution theory and their drugs for mental disorders. They're the ones that are wrong. Imagine how they're going to deal facing this. They won't deal with it. So what I recommend is you go to this book, and I strongly recommend that you go to Win Off Breathing Program, right? Give yourself a 30-day test, right? It's not going to hurt you. This is the most unbelievable thing. But what you need to do is have a little bit of faith. 6 to 12 months of doing this every day, right, will restore your condition in such a way it's unbelievable. But I need to tell you something. All you've got to do is have faith in yourself and in your instincts, that this is what's going to guide you with sevenfold wisdom and knowledge. And what happens is everything happens automatically. There's no programming in this. You activate your pineal gland with adrenochrome, right? And you create more adrenochrome and adrenaline in 5 minutes and you're doing a bungee jump. And it activates everything about you and your molecules. And when you do this, what happens is everything comes natural. Your life just begins to change without even thinking about it. You start to alter your decisions. And it is the very cure of the human conditioning. And even the research has proven that. And there's so much scientific research gone into Winoff. And he is a Nobel Prize winner with 26 Guinness Book of Records as to superhuman abilities. But as he said, it's not like that. It gives you life, man. It makes you alive. And we need to be alive. And this gives you life beyond your comprehension. But 30-day trial will make you realize that everything about your life alters. And the most important thing is the stress side. We're all suffering, right? And this stops the stress, the fear, the anxiety, and we start to see things a bit more clearly and realize we need to follow our feelings more and stop thinking so much. Life, man, you got to live every day as if it's your last, right? You got to live every day as your last.
I just want to clarify something for the viewers who may not be familiar, but the term adrenochrome, our bodies produce our own adrenochrome that serves us. We're not here talking about the black market adrenochrome that's taken from children. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about your God-given ability to produce this incredible chemical and use it for the success in our own lives in restoring of our mental health. I just wanted to clarify that, Kim, because there are some people hear the word adrenochrome right away. They think we're supposed to run out and take it. No.
And that's why I need to say something to you too, right? This is really important. I do not recommend drugs or meth, okay? Let's just get that straight too. But listen to this. What was it Hitler discovered? He discovered that the methamphetamine, right? Methamphetamine goes into your serotonin and it manipulates your endorphins, right? It's a drug manipulation, right? But what it actually does is it releases the natural chemicals you got. That's why people on meth are alert and wide awake, right? But they don't suffer either. They don't get sick. They never have fear, right? When they're on the drug, they never get fear. And it gives you that natural ability because the meth only manipulates your natural endorphins and your natural chemicals. So when this happens, is you're activated, right, with your pineal gland. That's what happens. You activate your pineal gland and you start to create your own adrenochrome. And that adrenochrome is activated with adrenaline. That's what adrenaline is. It comes from the back of your pineal gland. And like when you're alert, when you're alert and aware, it makes you alive, right? And that's what we've lost. We've lost our natural abilities. And yet the reason we've lost it is reverse psychology. It's by being manipulated and thinking too much and not having faith in our natural abilities that we do have cells on the outside. We feel information. We're guided by it. And it's a natural ability, but you need to be in your primordial state. And that's when you're alive. And it's like you're in method all the time. You end up having this natural high all the time, right? And it sits with you all the time. And the stress and the fear and the pain just seems to die away. And not only Winoff, but I'm a great example of medical stuff. I have performed so many things medically with miracles that it shows how it can work. It does wonders. It does absolute wonders. And we discovered that scientifically too. But they don't want you to know that because it stuffs the whole system up. You know what I mean? It stuffs the whole system up. Yeah, they don't want to know that.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on the Quantum Guide Show today. You're a wealth of information. I'd love to have you back. and learn more about what you have to say. And I do recommend to the viewers, please do watch Kim's videos. Now, I've put links. I will be putting links in the description below, so you can
Thank
get
you.
a hold of Kim yourself. You can find his videos, and of course subscribe to his Rumble and YouTube channels so that you can. Do you still have a YouTube channel, Kim?
I've had to put up a new one, but they keep blocking me so much. Like
I know.
I've been in prison for 60 days on Facebook. I'm coming off tomorrow, and it's this information they're suppressing, because I don't talk about the things that everyone gets blocked for. I keep away from those subjects, but this is the subject they're really trying to suppress the most. I've got thousands of, I think I'm up about 300,000 followers on Facebook, but you can't see it. Some of my posts go up to 50, 60,000 viewers, but you can't see it because I'm a permanent shadow man. So they're trying to stop us everywhere. You know that. They're just trying to do what they can.
Yeah.
So it's sad. It's a sad world to live in.
I'm afraid we've run out of time for today. Thank you very much for being on the show. And I'm looking forward to watching more of your videos. Thank you.
And I apologize. I apologize for robbing the show from you, but I just thought we got to get it out there.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay. See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to Karen's YouTube channel, click the like button, and share the show with your friends. Check out Karen's website at KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. All the links are available in the description box below. Until the next time, keep up the good work.
Surrendering to endlessness puts all my inner strife to rest. For time gives birth to hurriedness. It all makes sense, well, more or less. And the sages put me to their test. With heart and soul I do my best to find the answers to my quest. I wonder and I must confess, I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all an illusion, then I'm willing to play. It's okay.